This is part 58 of my series on my N-gauge model railway project. Previous parts cover the project from its inception through the creation of the baseboard, selection and laying of track, building of scenic items, obtaining rolling stock, etc. The project is ongoing. This part deals with my initial attempt to use the Bullfrog Snot liquid traction tyre product to improve the traction of a loco and so improve the loco's ability to pull a train up a gradient. In part 53 of this video series, I did a number of tests on the ability of various locos to pull a substantial train up a gradient. The bottom line was that all of the Union Mills locos had no trouble at all pulling the train up the gradient. The Pico Jubilee also had no real true trouble. On the other hand, almost all of the Farish locos failed completely, getting stuck a little way up with hopeless wheel spin. The only Farish loco that could get the train up the gradient was the tender-driven Black 5, which is a more recent issue than the loco-driven Black 5 that I also have. Now, I just recently obtained another Farish loco, this Castle class Earl of Dunraven. The Castle class were pretty much the Great Western's premier passenger express engines in the 1930s, which is my period. This is a very nice-looking model with well-applied detail and livery. It even has quite a nicely detailed cab, though the way the glazing of the cab windows is applied is a bit crude and spoils the look a little. This model is loco-driven, and I found that, like most of my other Farish locos, it really didn't pull at all well due to wheel spin. It could just about manage to get a 4-coach train up the less severe gradient to the viaduct on my layout, but with 5 coaches it couldn't get round my layout at all, except on the outer line, which is almost flat. So I decided to give this stuff a try. I initially read about it on forums, and then I watched a couple of YouTube videos showing the product. I'm not keen on the name, but since that's what it's sold as, that's what we have to call it. The idea is that you can apply this liquid to the driving wheels of your loco, and it will dry to form a rubbery coating, effectively like a traction tyre. It's not cheap. It's a US product. I'm in Canada, and the cheapest I could find it was $19.50 US, plus $12.25 US for shipping to Canada, making $31.75 US, or just over $43 in my own money. This gets you a little pot of the stuff, but you only use very little at a time, so I guess that little pot is going to be enough to do pretty much as you'd want, with it. These are the instructions that come with it. Sorry, it's a teeny bit blurry, but you can pretty much see them there. There's also an instructional video that can be viewed online. I decided to try this first on the Earl of Dunraven. Now, there are a couple of issues that should be noted. You need to keep the driving wheels spinning gently whilst you apply the stuff, and for quite a while afterwards, so it can start to cure, and it took me a lot longer than they said. This is not a problem with a loco like the Earl of Dunraven, which is loco-driven but also has tender pickups, so power can be applied simply by attaching crocodile clips to the tender wheels. Some other locos will depend for one or both sides of their pickup on the driving wheels themselves, in which case there will be a problem, as clearly you can't apply clips to the wheels if they need to be turning. So with a loco like that, you could try a couple of solutions. You could use some kind of arrangement where power was applied by contacts just brushing up against the wheels but not clamped to them, but that could be quite awkward since you need to keep the power on whilst you're applying the stuff, which is a bit tricky in itself, and then for quite a long while afterwards while the stuff starts to cure, and that's going to be rather a pain to do with brushing contacts. The only other solution would be to partially disassemble the loco so that power could be applied by putting clips onto internal wiring or contact points. Anyhow, this was not a problem I faced with my initial trial. The second issue, which did apply to me, is that applying this stuff is likely to interfere with electrical contact. If there are pickups on the driving wheels, you're going to essentially stop those pickups functioning for the wheels where you apply the tyres. For this reason, I chose to initially only apply the stuff to one pair of the driving wheels on the Earl. I could have applied it to all of the driving wheels, and I'm sure that would have given better traction, but it would have meant that then the loco would have depended entirely on the tender pickups for functioning. I did test after applying the stuff, and this appears to be a real concern. It does insulate the wheels and stop them from functioning for electrical pickup. So you have to take into consideration how many wheels you can sacrifice from picking up when choosing how to apply the Bullfrog Snot. Obviously, with an 060 tank engine, for example, if you applied the stuff to all of the driving wheels, the Loco wouldn't work at all anymore, as it would have no functioning pickups left. And with only 4 driving wheels, the situation could be even worse. Anyway, now let's proceed to the video of my attempt to use this product to improve the pulling power of the Earl of Dunraven. Okay, so I'm just going to shoot a little before video here. We've got the Graham Farish current production, well, more or less current production, I bought it new anyway, Earl of Dunraven, the Castle class, connected to 4, coupled up in the station with 4 Great Western coaches. And he can just about get up the incline with those, but he's struggling. He's struggling. If I give him a good run up, he can just about get up the incline with them. But if I take him through more moderately, he probably won't get up at all. We're approaching the incline at a more moderate speed now. He's just about getting up, but he's getting a lot of wheel slip now. But he's getting up. He can just about get the 4 coaches up. Okay. Now let's add a 5th coach. Let's add another brake coach to the back. So that'll be 5 coaches. Of course, he has no problem on the flat and going downhill. I don't know how many coaches you pull on the flat, but more than 5. He has a bit of a problem even going around the S-bend with the 5, but and he just won't, I can't get him up. I cannot get him up the incline at all with the 5 coaches. Let's try and go back down and see if we rush it a bit we might do it, but basically he won't. Okay, let's give him pretty much high full power. Yeah, well, if we give him, no, he's still stuck. He just cannot get up, and that's that incline isn't as bad as the incline on the other side of the viaduct because it's spread out over a larger area. That is absolute. This is full power. No, he's just wheel slipping. He's not going to do it. So he just cannot get round the layout. Well, he'd get round the outer track probably with there's very little in the way of incline, but he can't get round any of my interior loops either way because he can't, with 5 coaches, because he can't get 5 coaches up the incline. He just gets stuck with wheel slip. So I'm going to try and apply the Bullfrog Snot. I'm not very fond of the name, but whatever. To him to see the liquid traction tire stuff to see if we can get an improvement like that. Okay, I'm going to try and apply this Bullfrog Snot liquid traction tire stuff. So we start the wheels turning. We got it in the Loco here in the cradle, and we'll start the wheels turning ever so gently. I have to say this makes me singularly nervous. I'm not comfortable with this sort of thing really. and we'll put a little bit of the stuff here as best we can onto the back traction wheel here. I don't know. Less rather than more. I mean, if we put too little, well, I don't know. I mean, you've got to put some on, though. I don't know. Teeny bit more on this one, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know how much I should be putting on, quite honestly. I think I'm being a bit too gentle, aren't I? I'm getting almost nothing on. But I'm nervous. I'm just using a toothpick because this is N gauge. And I've heard them say use a cocktail stick. Well, yes, if it were 00 gauge, I would use a cocktail stick, but for N gauge, I think a toothpick is quite big enough. I don't know. I think, you know, I think I'm going to leave it at that for now. I don't know. Now, then I'm supposed to leave this running for, what they say, about 10 to 15 minutes until it does go through its initial curing, and then leave it overnight to cure more. Of course, I'm not going to subject you to the video of 10-15 minutes of it curing, so let's leave it like that, and I will leave it running there at that very low speed. I've got it locked on about 20% power, so it's just turning round there very gently, and we'll leave it like that, and we'll return in 10-15 minutes and see what it looks like. Well, it's been 15 minutes, but it's been 15 minutes, but it still doesn't look anything like the should look like this picture. See, they're saying should look like this on the instructions. Well, it clearly doesn't look anything like that. I don't know whether you can, how clearly you can see, but it really does not look anything like that. It's still basically the pale green. So I guess I'm going to leave it for another 10 or 15 minutes and see if it ever gets to look dark green like that. I don't know, because that's what they're saying. They're saying it should end up looking dark green like that, and it certainly doesn't after 15 minutes at the moment. It's just over 15 minutes now. So we'll have to see. Well, it's about half an hour now since the initial application, and it still doesn't look like there should look like this picture. So I think I'm going to try what someone suggested, applying a little light heat. Just going to point a hairdryer on low. This is just warm, it's not hot. I'm just blowing some warm air on it because it's been rotating now for half an hour since the original application, and especially the wheel that's furthest away from you is still looking bright green. It's not looking at all like they say it should look. And I don't want to leave the thing running forever. You know, being careful, putting my fingers in there to make sure it's not too I've got a hairdryer on warm medium, so it's not on the hot setting and it's not on the full air setting. It's just on the medium warm setting, and whoops, what did I just blow away there? That's the problem. You start blowing around the bench, you blow things away. I don't even know what I blew away there. Well, it's been running now for 35 minutes continually since I finished applying the stuff, and it's just had 5 minutes of a hairdryer on low warm. I still don't think it looks like there should look like this picture exactly, but it's getting close now, so I don't know, very shortly at least. Well, maybe we'll turn it off and see. Does that look, I don't know, let's turn it back on again for a minute, I don't know. It still doesn't really look quite right, so it certainly seems to take a lot longer for the initial cure than they say. Because the engine's been running continuously, the Loco's been running continuously now for over 40 minutes, 30 minutes, I don't know how long I took to apply the stuff, 5 minutes or so I guess, and then it's been running for like 36 minutes or so since I finished applying it now. I'm not going to leave it much longer. I'll give it another 5 or 10 minutes and then we'll turn it off and leave it overnight to cure. Well, it's been running for nearly 45 minutes now since we finished applying the stuff, and it still, to me, still does not really look like they say it should look like that. When their picture looks uniformly dark green, well, I can't say it does really, but I think that will have to do. There's a limit to how long we can keep on running the thing, so at this point I think we're going to turn it off, leave it like that overnight, and we'll see what it looks like tomorrow. Okay, now it's the next morning. The stuff's had overnight to cure, and I guess it does look thoroughly cured now. You can sort of see it there on the rails as a dark green, but it's not very visible, so let's just have a quick function check. One way and the other way. Yes, it's cured. The function still seems to be working, so let's get the Loco back on the tracks and see how it actually works. Okay, first let's just quickly get the Loco railed and give it a basic function check on the rails. First time I've ever put a Loco on the rails with doesn't feel like that coach is running correctly. Why it's not, but no, this coach, well, I'm not going to hook the coach up right now, but nevertheless, I don't know. Rail coach. Now of course I've hooked the coach up even, oh for goodness sake. Actually didn't mean to hook the coach up, but I hooked the coach up. Let's move the coach back. Okay. The Loco at least still goes, and I don't see any very obvious difference to how it is going. We'll try to put the 5th coach back on. This is the 4-coach train, which he just about managed to get up before. So now we'll add the 5th coach back. This is the same 5th coach that was on the back before. And now we've got a 5-coach train, and we'll see if he can get that up the hill. Okay, the camera's now back on the hill. Let's see if with the Bullfrog Snot on his wheels going to rush it, just going to take it up at normal speed. Well, yes, he can get it up, which he couldn't before, although I'm not sure I'd say it's an order of magnitude change. It seemed like there was some wheel slip even then. Mind you, I did only put the stuff on two wheels, well, because I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to completely remove pickup on the Loco wheels. So, you know, I didn't want to really put it on all of the Loco wheels. I'm adding a 6th coach now. See if he can get a 6th coach run. That's about as much as I run anyway on this layout. See how he does with a 6 coach train. You can get the 6 coach train round the S-bend without a lot of strain. Not to give him more power, of course, well, he's struggling with a 6 coach train, really, isn't he? No, he can't really get the 6 coach train up. Let's not push it, I guess. So a marginal improvement, but not night and day. But then again, as I say, I did not put it on all the wheels, but I'm hesitant to put it on all the wheels because, you know, if I put it on all the wheels, then he's not going to have Loco pickup. Take the 6th coach back off again. Putting the stuff on one set of wheels. Putting the stuff on one set of wheels seems for the moment to have given him about 1 coach more. I'm just looking at it. It hasn't changed in appearance much. I thought it might have worn or got very dirty or whatever, just from, you know, spinning whatever there. It looks pretty much the same now as it did when I first put him on the tracks. At the moment, I've seen other people's videos and it does wear down and pick up dirt from the tracks and things and whatever, and that's normal. But at the moment it looks pretty fresh still. One more time with a 5 coach train. The 6 coach train he wasn't going to do. Not with it just on those 2 wheels anyway. You know, maybe if you put it on more axles, he'd be able to get more coaches up. But as I say, then I'd be give him a little more speed this time. Yeah, he can just barely do it, and he's definitely getting wheel slip there. You know, as I, you know, give him power there. So, putting it on a couple of axles, little bit of improvement, quite a lot of work, took a lot longer to cure than they said, and not a massive improvement. We'll see where we go from here. I'll try it on other Locos and, you know, see where it gets us. I don't know whether I want to put it on any more axles of this guy. So, somewhat mixed results so far, although as I say, I didn't want to put it on all, but you know, in many cases you simply wouldn't want to put it on all of the driving wheels because you want some pickup from the Loco, and this is presumably going to stop the pickup.